Hello again. This time what we're going to do is we're going to make a steel plate texture. And that was one of the very first textures that I learned, especially given the kind of sci-fi interest that I had in early texture modding, modding Unreal Tournament, so on and so forth. And one of the things that I discovered early on is this is one of the most difficult uh, textures to make from scratch. What everyone does, and rightfully so, is if they need it to look fairly real, they'll just go out and um, they'll take a picture of steel and then apply some of the filters to kind of, that we talked about before to make it look painterly and CGI looking. The other type of steel plate is too simple that I found. It's pretty much just a noise filter and then a blur or something like that, just to make kind of a stainless steel texture. So today I'm going to show you kind of an overly complicated way to do a steel texture without using an actual image. All right, so it's going to be two stages. The first stage to this is going to be incredibly long, and then the second one, we're going to take it from just a texture and we're going to make it look like actual panels. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to kind of get a steel blue color here. Let's see here. So, um, bring that down a little bit. Let's see here. Not quite that far. Let's see here. Let's do a little bit more red to it. Don't want it to go that way. Well, here. A little bit down here. Yeah, it really does actually make this much of a difference. Bring this up some. Not that much. Yeah, there we go. I was going in the opposite direction. That's why. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and fill the background color. That's still got, well, now that I see it, it's gonna have to do for right now. I think from now on in future videos, I'm gonna go ahead and pick my colors first. Do do do. And I need a darker one of those, but not that dark. We need it fairly subtle. And let's see here. We'll go. Wait for it. Clouds. Didn't see that one coming, did you? All right. Actually, no, we don't want to do that for this one. We'll do that for our next layer, though. I already made a new layer. Never mind. So yes, basically, new layer filled with the clouds of those two colors, and you really can't see it. And of course, zooming in is not going to help. I don't know why I'm bothered. But now, again, we'll go the same route. Noise, add noise, and that is definitely not what we want. We'll go with 15 uniform monochromatic. And now we'll do the dust and scratches, which I was referring to earlier, but I meant another. When I said that earlier, I was talking about the wind filter. This is dust and scratches, and if I can find it. There we go, and that's perfect. Yeah, that's actually perfect. Cool. So that gives, now we've got some interesting things going on. It doesn't look at all like metal, but we're going to fix that in just a second. New layer. Filter, render clouds again. just to give a little bit of a kind of a bed or a platform for it to sit on. And then we'll go to noise, add some more noise to this layer as well. This needs to be 25 uniform because it needs to be really intense. I probably should have bumped that up even more. But now what we're going to do is now we're going to do the motion blur. And let's see here. The angle, make the distance about 50. Now, that's cool in itself, but this is something that came back and caused me some grief in an earlier video. I can't remember which one it was. But see how the edges, whenever you apply that filter, the edges are always pixelated. I don't even know, that's not the right word, but they look ugly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to transform, and we're just going to drag this filter out, this layer out to get all those rough edges away. And then we're going to change the blending mode to luminosity. So see how we can see the layer behind it just kind of ghosting through. And we might even, it's a little bit overpowering, so let's try bumping this down just a bit, maybe to 70, maybe even 80%. Yep, we're going to fine tune it here and make it 75%. Okay, so there's that. So now it's starting to look a little bit more like steel. We got that kind of brushed look going. Next thing we need to do is we need to create a new layer. Set our default colors to black and white. And again, clouds. And then this time we're going to go to different clouds, and we're going to do that like 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See how each time I do that, the lines get more and more pronounced, the squiggles. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to do a multiply here. Not a multiply, screen. And then collapse that. So now I've got even more of a uniform area. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to filter. What am I going to do? Solarize. All right. And then I'm going to do my levels, and I'm going to bring this down to right about there. Yeah, leave that about right there. Just so I can get these kind of psychedelic lines here, and then hit OK. All right. Then I'm going to go to Stylize, Emboss. See now how I'm getting some kind of rough texture where it's pitted. So that's what this is for, just kind of a little bit of a weathering thing there. And let's see here. Turn this one to multiply. Not multiply. Now forgot which one it was. Well, this just goes to show you, folks at home, make sure you practice this a lot more often. It's not color dodge as well, but I just thought I'd try that. Let's see, color burn. Where are you? That's getting close. There it is. Okay, so it's color burn, and then set it down to 10%. So not only did I forget the color burn part, but I forgot the opacity change as well. That's still too pronounced. May even bring it down to 5%. Yeah, so 5%. All we're trying to do is just get some something interesting going there, so that it's not just a plain surface. I might even go down as far as 3, maybe 4. Yeah, just just a hint. It's just kind of like spice in a nice jambalaya. You don't want to overpower it with one spice, or you might as well just eat the spice instead. You just want to add some you know flavor experiences. Okay, I actually don't cook at all. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have never cooked jambalaya in my life. Well, except for the kind that comes out of a can at Kroger's. Um, but anyhow, so there is that. That's the first part. So now, what I'm going to do, I hit Shift Option Command E, and what that did, that made a copy of all the selected layers together. So I don't even need these layers right now. But that's a handy dandy little tip. All right, the next thing I need to do now that I've made this composite layer here is obviously I need to do the offset. So other offset 400 by 400. We want to get rid of these seams. Go to my eraser tool. Make the brush size bigger. Oh, I forgot to duplicate the layer. Duplicate the layer and then do the offset. And then punch out the seams. Punch out the middle a little bit. All right, and test it to make sure that it's not going to tile. It's not going to. It's not going to have seams when you tile it, if you plan on tiling it. Now, a lot of these, when you're, of course, making texture maps for a UV map, which we'll get into next semester, you'll be filling in a particular face in Blender. So you won't be tiling these seamlessly or otherwise. Okay, but if you are going to tile them, it is good to make sure that they don't have seams on them. Just good practice to get into. Okay, good enough there. Delicious. I'm going to bring these two down, collapse those into one layer, and then I'm going to, let's see here, what's the easiest way to do this? Going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to go to transform. I'm going to hold down Shift Command. I'm going to bring it in from the sides. Why are you doing that? Let's try that again. Transform, Shift Option, not Shift Command on a Mac. Bring that in a little bit there so that it's away from the edges, which you can't see unless you turn off this layer. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow me to do some bevel and emboss. And this is where I'm going to get that steel panel. And I'm going to do chisel soft probably. Actually smooth, I'll have to say, gave better results that time. Just a very, very light one. Something like that. Then hit OK. Then I'm going to go down to this layer, and I'm going to put an adjustment layer on it with just levels. I'm going to make it just a little bit darker. Okay, here we can. I'm going to make it a lot darker. And then I'm going to put another adjustment layer on it as well. Hue saturation. Since I'm in the neighborhood, I'm going to make it even darker. So something like that. Very, very dark. Okay. So that's where I left off. let's go ahead and try this now with save for web and devices. Have to do this all over again. Sure enough. Okay. So there it is. I'm going to zoom out just so you can see it a little bit better. And that is our steel pattern there. What I may want to do, actually, is take this layer and make it just a little bit bigger. I noticed that there was too much space between the steel panels. I'll make that just a little bit bigger. Normally you know how I am about enlarging pixels, but in this case it's less than 1%. No one's ever going to know. What was going to do? Oh, and I was going to add a drop shadow. I'll just go 135. Just make it simple. Am I even doing this to the right layer? Yes, I am. There we go. One last time, and then we'll call it the end for this video because I am totally losing my voice. Again. All right. Actually, now that I think about it, the only thing that I might do to this, because that still doesn't quite look like steel, almost looks more like linoleum. The thing about steel is it's not so much the surface, it's not so much the diffuse color, it's the specular color. That means how much it reflects light sources. So what I may do is, I said this was over, and now it's not going to be over. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of specular highlighting to this. And to do that, I'm going to turn on the transparency here so I don't go outside the currently filled pixels. And I'm going to do a gradient overlay on this as well. You can't see that because it falls outside here. But what I want to do is, oh, that's lovely. I'm going to make this 135 degrees as always. I said 135. Does not respect my authority. I'm going to make the gradient. This is where I need my other colors back. Actually, without that, let's see if I can do a multiply here. Let's see here. Yeah, that'll work. So set it to multiply. Set the two ends to black. And then in the middle, create a new one here at the bottom. Make that white. Actually make these gray on second thought. Kind of a dark gray. Make them the same color though. That would have been a mess. Hello. All right, see, that gives it kind of a highlight, that metallic sheen right through there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these in though, thusly. And I'm going to make extra ones right here that are lighter. Not that light. Then we'll hold the Option key down and drag that to make a duplicate of it over to here. And hit OK and just see where I am. That's a little bit too dark, but maybe if I change the opacity to 50%, that'll solve that. So see how we've got that nice metallic sheen there? And now it looks like metal. So important word there, and this is actually mentioned in your previous reading assignment as well. Um, let's see what it looks like. Okay, tiled like that, it looks a little bit busy. If I was going to be doing this for an entire floor instead of making one um, tile, I would have put some lines in there and made it multiple tiles, all within the same 800 by 800 image. So I might tackle that here in a future video.